Okay, in exercise 2, access exercise 2. The first thing we're going to do is import external data from another database. And it's the Access database, PT Table Products. And you should have downloaded that from DocSharing already. We'll search for that document and open it. Then we're going to specify how and where we want to store the data. Well, we want to import the products table. So we select OK, and then you see that we have the table products. Note, you can also import queries, forms, reports, macros, and modules. So later on in other classes, when you get into advanced access, you should know that you can import objects from other databases. You can also import data from a spreadsheet, and you're going to do that in your next exercise. So we're going to import the table product and simply close that. And you'll notice that now we have that table located inside this database. If you right click, let's take a look a minute at Design View. We have instead of using the column headings the way we do in Excel and then format our data to be text or numbers or currency, we identify the fields in Access, and we give those fields a name, and then we give it a data type. And you also see that we've given it a description. Importantly, product ID is identified as the primary key, and in your reading you should find that the primary key is a unique field that identifies that record as unique. So just like your campus-wide ID is unique, your social security number is unique, product ID is unique in this particular table. When we open it, however, you can see that it looks very much like a spreadsheet. However, you're going to see that we can do a lot of things with Access that we cannot do with a spreadsheet. So the next thing that you're asked to do in this database assignment is to create a query. This is where the power of Access lies. Remember, I told you that the power of spreadsheets are in using those cell addresses. Use the cell addresses so that in your formulas and functions, if a value changes, your formulas and functions will automatically be updated. In a database, we could have massive amounts of data, but a query will limit that data for us and process that data into information. So we're going to select the Create ribbon, and we're going to select Query Design, select the product table, that's all we need for this one, and in your list, in your assignment, I believe it says product description, the category, price, size, and color. And if those aren't right, go back to your exercise. Anyway, what I did was double click, or you can drag and drop these items down to the query window. This down below is called the query window. Now, to limit this query, in other words, to give us information, I want to look at the category of clothing, So if you'll notice, there is a criteria line here. We've got our field name, the table, the sort, order, whether or not we want it shown, and our criteria. So the criteria that we're going to type in is clothing. And up here you'll see the red bang, which is the exclamation point. We type that in, and now all we get are those items whose category is equal to clothing. And therefore, we have actually limited the data, processed it, and made that data into information. So we're going to save the name of our query, and you guys can look and see what the name was. And the next thing that it wants you to do is to create an inventory report. So we're going to take a form and an inventory report. To create the inventory, form, all we need to do is select the data on which we want the form created. And then we select the form wizard. we want all of our fields to be on that form. Select Next. You can select how you want the form to be laid out and select Finish. Now watch, this is exactly what we looked at in a spreadsheet view. And notice down here at the bottom, record 1, 2, 3, and it moves through all of those records with that unique product ID still being there. Now you're told in the instructions to add a new record, and if you'll notice down at the bottom you get a tooltip that says where we have the asterisk or the little sun, you can add a blank record. You do not enter the product ID because it's going to be entered for you. The product description is given to you and you're supposed to type in that new clothing item for adding a new